With people who have parents that had already graduated from college, it's a lot of strategies you can learn from your parents, so your parents can pass off information. It's different from if you have a brother or a cousin that went to college, because sometimes what I would see your brother or your cousin tell you, it goes in one ear but goes out the other one, because it's like, oh, that's my brother, that's my cousin. It doesn't really register that they did it before, so maybe I should listen.
My dad always told me to graduate high school, but he never talked about what would come after that, really. He did suggest like I just go to work or find a job, because he's always been told even just high school was just enough.
Well, in high school, I had the dream of going to the military, but I also had a dream of being involved in some medical profession. At the time, I didn't know what. But my dad and mom always made sure my grades was on point. And my mom used to stay after school at point of times to make sure I was doing extracurriculums. I first felt like college wasn't for me. Like it wasn't my comfortable state. It didn't stand out to me as something that I would want to do in my life. So I enrolled in the military with my parents' permission, of course.
My father actually originally arrived here through an asylum visa, but he never renewed it. So he remained undocumented in this country for about 18 years. I didn't really understand what it meant to be undocumented really until like I got older. Like I would remember even parts of my childhood, like my dad, even though he would, like if he was driving somewhere, if he saw police, like we would pull over right away. Like little things like that. Like my dad feared, I guess, like the law enforcement, because he was scared that someone would just pull him over and then find out or ask for his papers or his status and take him away pretty much. Yeah, actually my dad was really scared to even do FAFSA for that reason. He was scared that if he put his information down, then like someone would come look for him. He was really paranoid about that. But I think what helped was a program I was part of, college tracks, talked to him and explained to him like nothing will happen really. They're just taking like your income information from your taxes, and they're not asking about like your legal status.
I am aiming for my PhD in cancer biology. My father had cancer, so cancer stuck out to me on something I would like to learn more about. So my father was diagnosed with cancer on my 12th grade year of high school. My dad had lung cancer. The cancer had spread to his brain, and then at that point it was stage 4, which the doctor told us, and that was the end of his journey.
Generic way, or will we directly say like, okay?
Yeah, directly, like what species? Think about if you.
My first semester in my programs, that was just a hard time in life I was having with like personal problems and life problems that occurred. And so at that time my GPA started slipping, and it resulted in me failing one or more of my classes, transparency 3. The first thing I did, I went to my scholarship programs. I remember going to Sherman and talking to Miss Sherelle, if I may say her name, and I was telling her like, I definitely want to drop out. I never sucked at something this bad in life. And we were just discussing. She's like, no, you can take the classes over. Do you feel like you want to do it again? And she asked a question, if you weren't doing this, what else would you do? And in my mind, first thing came to my mind was like, just be a paramedic. And then not knowing later, once I went home, I really thought about it, what else would I want to do? And I was thinking what I want to do is the rest of my life. It's a lovely job, but that really steered me back to apply for another semester. And then I ended up taking the same classes that I failed again. And then the additional classes I was going to take for that semester. And ended up getting an A in them classes and recovering my GPA.
UMBC is the second college I've attended. My previous institution was a school in DC called American University. It was a private institution that was predominantly white. It was really hard, especially when the thing happened with my dad being in spaces like that where I felt like no one looked like me for sure. No one even related to like my income background. Like I was working in school. If I told someone I had work after class, like they'd be like, "Why?" Kind of like, "What? Like, why are you working?" But that's how I had to put myself through school. I had to work. I had things to pay by myself. Especially when my dad was deported, I was left to kind of take care of myself and start being an adult, literally, right as I started college. The hardest things was learning how to actually study, how to actually do homework, like how to write papers, like all these things. Even though I did it in high school, it wasn't to the same level of difficulty in college. And like I definitely felt more insecure at various points, especially when it came to like the homework or readings. Even though I am pretty successful, like I know for like being first gen, I mean, I've had various internships and have good grades, and like even right now I'm applying to PhD programs. There's still this kind of like insecurity that I don't know what I'm doing all the time, and I know it's known as imposter syndrome, and I do face that. I can still easily find myself being the only Latina in the class. It is intimidating at points because I don't have anyone that looks like me doing what I'm doing in my field, at least sometimes, and I do feel scared, I guess, when I'm like trying to do things I've never done before, like maybe even write like a research paper or something like that. For me, I truly did not know what I was going to get out of college, being quite honest, because like there's no one I could speak to that even went to college. So I did not know what I was expecting. It was definitely a lot harder than I thought it would be. High school felt more easier, and I think because I did have more support in the sense that like I could talk to my teachers. I had 7 teachers I could talk to all the time. It didn't really matter. I had a guidance counselor. Like people were there for me to talk to. College, you have to find your own network of support.
Yes, I would say a lot, if most universities don't have this, should have a first generation club or a group that first generations can go to and get advice from other first gens and hear from the people that works at the university who can help guide them in a more aligned, perfect college journey for them.
Probably the most intimidating thing I think I would say about colleges, like as a first gen also, finding that network of support or the people you can trust to help you and who actually want to see you grow.
When you have someone that shares the same experience, it feels like you're not the only one stuck on the island. When everyone else came from high school and straight from high school or community college, it's a big difference on when I'm just starting here versus I had a little background. Like it was a gap in between when I was in high school versus someone who was coming straight from high school.